Welcome to the Louie Herron podcast, where I'm going deep into business, sales, leadership, and life. And I mean life, from the boardroom to the bedroom, from business acquisitions to personal addictions, from being saved yet still feeling like a slave, from manning up to mousing out, dealing with divinity to reality. This podcast is dedicated to growth, learning, inspiration, and healing. Jump in, hang on, and hang out. You'll never know which topic I'll tackle next. But one thing's for certain, I'm here to share my experiences, strengths, failures, and hope, all to help us live life at the highest level we can. Welcome in, guys. How are you? Louie Herron, your podcast host. Louie Herron Podcast. I'm so glad and grateful you guys are spending some time with me. I'm very glad also, too, before I begin, just want to tell you I'm so grateful of the listeners and the shares, the comments, the reviews. Overwhelmingly grateful. You guys take the time of your day to check out what I have to say that may potentially impact, influence, and motivate and inspire your life. Obviously in the four areas of body, being, balance, and your business. Focusing always on leadership, always on sales, business, and life's lessons. And I think you get a lot out of it. If it's the first time you've ever heard me, stick with me. Today we've got a pretty cool topic. I think everybody's been one of these at some point in your life, and we're going to get right into that. And that's called an underdog. And really, what I want to share with you is some benefits and some things maybe you never even thought about. We've all been an underdog at some point in our business, in the sales game. When you're first getting going in life, we've all had that experience, even on the field. We've had that experience, whether it's on the court, the field. We've had that. And I think it's important that we've realized and figure out we need to be as hungry as an underdog. If we're going to win big in life, we've got to continually stay hungry. I was on a coaching call earlier today, and I had a young guy that's currently a manager, sales manager at a car dealership, and he's been there 8 years, and he was struggling with the fact that, he first called me when we first got on the call. He was talking about the pack structure, was changing the commission structure. He was having problems motivating the guys, and I sat and listened to him, and I listened to him. And then I had to explain to him. I said, Bubba, let me tell you something. You got two choices in this deal. You can go to your dealer principal and you can complain about the pack structure, or you can get your ass together and figure out how to train, motivate, and inspire these guys. Figure out how you can drive more traffic to the dealership, how you can handle the phone calls better, how you can handle the one-on-one interaction with the guests that walk in the showroom, and just get better. Just get better. Those are your two choices. And I said, look, I'm in dealerships all across the country, and the structure you're telling me about your pack, buddy, they're heavier in other areas of the country, and these guys are still rolling. They're still rocking. So again, it's a mindset. And I was telling him the point of the underdog conversation didn't come up with him, but what I did say to him is, hey, brother, because he also alluded to the fact that he didn't feel like he was growing, and he wanted to become, a general sales manager, and he's been there 8 years, and I said, listen, man. You already got to think, if you want to be a general sales manager and you're a sales manager, you got to think right now. In this moment, you are the general sales manager. Although in title you're not, you can be there by way of leadership, by way of activities, by way of what you do to drive the sales force and move them forward. I said, you can't sit there and act as if, bro. You've got to make something happen. And I said, you got to play like a rookie. I said, think about this for a minute. When guys go in the NFL and they're rookies, these rookies are hungry. They're hungry. All right, you play like a rookie. And the minute you stop playing like a rookie in any business, you get complacent. When you get complacent, that next rookie's coming up the backside. And you got to remember, underdogs don't have much to lose. That's why they're an underdog. Think of the great UFC fights or the boxing matches. An underdog goes in there, 20-1 odds. He's not going to handle the fight or whatever the case may be. Man, he's got nothing to lose and everything to gain. So the mindset of an underdog is even different than someone that's already arrived, right? And the goal is we want to arrive, but you always still want to play like that rookie. I don't think it's a bad thing to be an underdog. In fact, to me personally, it's kind of exciting. Like when you're in a new environment, a new scenario, and you've got to prove yourself, it's a great opportunity for you to step up, show up, and do some things that you haven't done in a long time. Plus, it allows you to innovate, get better, and come up with creative ways around your weaknesses. So I think as we get into this, you're going to get a lot out of it. But I wanted you to think about something for a second. Those that are listening right now, what if you're an underdog right now? In your current situation, wherever you may be located, in whatever profession you're in, whatever business you own, whatever marriage you're in, what if you're the underdog? What if right now the odds are just against you? You don't know if you can win this game. And again, there's a lot of things to take away from a lot of underdogs. In fact, I'm kind of reminded of when Jason Kelsey, for the Super Bowl champions of the Eagles, when he made that inspiring statement to his players when they won in 2018. He says, "You guys are a bunch of underdogs. And you know what an underdog is? It's a hungry dog. And a hungry dog runs faster. And the bottom line is we want it more." When you're an underdog, you're a hungry dog. And some of us in business lose your hunger. You start to lose some fire, right? The fire in that belly. Look, I'll be the first to tell you, I've been in the auto industry for 30 years. I've been running stores, owning stores, operating stores. I've been in the sales game for 30 years. And I transitioned, now doing the things with life coaching and transformational coaching, as well as sales training and teaching and seminars and things of that nature. I'm in a different realm. I'm the underdog, man. I got people that tell me all the time, Louie, what is with the podcast, man? Why don't you just go get a dealership again, man? Go buy another dealership. What are you doing? What they don't understand is all of us in life at some point come to a scenario or situation where, you know what? I need a change. I'm not living the life that God intended me to live, right? It's called self-actualization. There's more to life than recreate, procreate, do a few deals, and die. And I think as men, that's what we do. We conquer, we get to the top of the hill, and then if we don't have a good foundation, we burn that shit down. We burn it down. And then here we go again, trying to regroup. But speaking of some classic underdogs, and look, there's many, from Michael Jordan getting cut from his high school team. There's many, but a couple come to mind. You know, when I think about J.K. Rawlings, when she was the single mom struggling to even earn money for her family, living in a small apartment with her daughter, really no job, no money. Her writings were rejected by countless publishers. Now think about that rejection. Right. You start to believe it if you're not careful. But she was rejected over, but she never stopped. She never stopped. She set her foot down and she wrote one of the longest lasting bestsellers in the world with the Harry Potter series. The rest is history. Guys, here's the good part about life. You can take as many swings as you want. You only need a couple home runs. Think about that. Just keep getting singles. Just keep getting on base, man. Keep getting on base. Put a day together, put a week together, put a month together, put a year together. Just get on base. But baby, let me tell you something. When you get that home run, you don't need one or two good home runs. It can change the game. It changes everything. Think of Walt Disney, right? I mean, somehow, some way he was told that he lacked imagination, had no good ideas. I mean, come on, that's a little hard to believe. But in the end, he tried his luck to start the what was it, the Hollywood, where he founded the Brothers Studios, is I think where it first got started. 22 Academy Awards later, he's off and running with theme parks and doing all this other stuff. So, I mean, and of course, I can't think of Oprah Winfrey. I mean, that's when it comes to mind, because her story is so unique with so many different traumas, so many different things she went through as a woman. But even according to the Baltimore TV producer, she was unfit for television news. She was too emotionally invested in her stories. Think about this for a second. She's too authentic is what she is. She's too invested in what she's doing. She has too much passion, too much love, and wants to change the game. She's an underdog, man. But eventually she hosted her own Oprah Winfrey show, and that made her one of the most popular, richest women on the planet. And again, the rest is history. But I want to get into some benefits of being an underdog. I don't know that you take the time to maybe process even what an underdog is. But, as an underdog, you got nothing to lose, man. You got nothing to lose. That's the beauty of it, right? And with that said, despite the negative association with the word underdog, there is something special about being an underdog. I mean, being someone who is not considered to be competitive or worth looking at, or considerably, obviously reduces your anxiety of performing, as well as being compared to the top dog. This very lack of expectation is the biggest strength, I believe, as an underdog. You think about football, go back to college football, these guys that walk on. They walk on a team, then somehow earn a scholarship, then somehow make it to the NFL. That's an underdog, baby. That's an unbelievable task, right? I mean, after all, as an underdog, you have nothing to lose. You got everything to gain. And I think nobody will have any expectations from you. And this low expectation actually, in my opinion, works in your favor as you catch bigger opponents napping, sleeping, man. They're sleepwalking when they consider you a second rate or discount your presence while focusing on the other competitors. Again, of course, it always keeps you humble and grounded when you're in that underdog spot. When you're striving for something that you have not yet attained, there's no room for bragging. You're doing your very best to put in the work every single day to achieve and attain something. And each of us, I mean, even from the ultra successful to the not so much successful, has well-defined underdog moments. That's what I said when we first opened up. I think, what's important is that we choose what we choose to do with those moments. Do you squander that opportunity and quit? Or do you rise steadily again and fight the demons that are keeping you down? The choice is always yours. And these are the moments that either make you or break you. When you and I are the underdog, and the devil is throwing things at you left and right to distract, to derail, to cause you to drift, to get off of your game. This is what makes you or breaks you, man. And I want to go through just a couple of things that I think will change some of your mindset. Because, again, if you're not an underdog now, you may be an underdog when, guess what, a new general manager comes in or a new team starts in. And then all of a sudden you're looking at a whole different dilemma in your workplace that you never even thought would even happen, because things change in a blink of an eye. I'm sure everyone is familiar with the timeless story of David and Goliath, right? Everybody knows that, right? Obviously, it's a story about the weak beating the powerful with the help with the help basically of God, right? Obviously, that was the whole point of that story. But let me ask you a question. This is probably the bigger thing in trying to discover the underdog mindset, right? And how it can be transformational. And I said this in the very first podcast that I ever did is, who are you? And the question you ask yourself is, who do you want to become? Who do you want to become? I mean, I'm sure most of you in this story illustration of David and Goliath, most of you would say, I'd rather be Goliath. And why not, right? He's the top dog. He's a natural fighter. He was feared across the world. He obviously was ruthless and had great strength. And nobody really had a chance against him. But David, the underdog, he wins in the end. And here's where the conundrum lies. We want David to win as the underdog, but we don't want to be like him. Think about that. We want to be like Goliath, but we cheer David on, but we don't want to be with him. And I think the biggest mistake we often make is that we try to be someone whom we cannot be. We ignore our own inner strengths, our own passions, our own authentic self. We ignore the existence of our own skills. And so we end up running after some other superhuman strength of another Goliath or another person or somebody we're trying to emulate that we can never get. And, if you think about it, that becomes the reason of our failures, our frustrations, our disappointments. So changing the mindset is like the biggest thing that I think Underdog does first. But I think it also helps prioritize your goals. When you're the underdog, your goals get more dialed in. I mean, while you could aspire to have anything you want in this world, you cannot have everything you want. Now, let me preface, I'll be the first to tell you, I think you can have it all. I think it's extremely difficult to have it all. But the reason why the word focus is called focus is because you're focusing, you're dialing in, you're laser beam, right? And focus is one thing at a time. I'm not preaching at you. I'm not saying I'm the best at this. But you cannot have everything you want. And that's the brutal truth of life. Finding that one thing you badly want, it isn't always easy. But it is the compelling answer to the important question. What is the one thing that you want which makes all other things unnecessary? Now, we talk about body being balanced in business. We talk about sales, leadership. We talk about your business. What is the one thing? Men, what's the one thing? If you sat there and go, one thing. The one thing that makes all other things unnecessary. Choosing a goal often means rejecting a lot of other things to stay focused. And that's really what I'm trying to illustrate. And most people often fail at this point, even before they get started. And I think the reason is that they try to pursue too many goals at once, achieving none of them in the process. So by asking yourself a focused question, you're taking the first step from being a person with a dream to a person who wants to make the one dream a reality. And I caution you, don't get discouraged or don't get paralyzed with all the choices that are available. Make a choice and get on with it. I mean, just make the choice. And once you have that goal in place, it will force you to grow because you haven't really achieved that goal yet. But you would want to become that person one day who has successfully achieved it. And again, that all rests on you. Underdog causes you to work smarter. Now, what I think about when I'm putting this together, an underdog working smarter, it reminds me of when I was 21 years old in the car business, sales manager, trying to move up in the business. I had the goals, wanted to be a general manager, wanted to be a dealer principal, wanted to buy the Miami Dolphins by the time I was 65. I had all these harebrained ideas, but you know what? They were goals. They were goals that drove me, right? And although I felt like I played like a rookie, my intensity and sense of urgency, I mean, hell, at 50, almost 50, it still hasn't changed. I've slowed down just a tad, but the mindset is still there because I think it's important to understand, you know, as an underdog, there's a chip on the shoulder. There's something there. There's a fire in the belly. That is a competitive edge. And I think as an underdog, you got to learn to work smarter. And what I mean by that is, go back to my example, I've created what's called the law of separation. A lot of my coaching, I talk about this. A lot of my sales training, I talk about this, the law of separation. One of the things that I did is I had to work smarter trying to come up the ranks. I realized I was the David, right? There's a lot of Goliaths in the car dealership. A lot of guys that had a lot more experience. Quite frankly, they were better in many areas. I had to work smarter. Law of separation. It's kind of like Emerson's law of compensation, right? Give more service rendered than wage paid, and wages come back tenfold. Same thing with growth. Anything in your life will get better if you give more than what's rendered back to you. It's the basic premise of sowing and reaping, right? So you got to work smarter. So the law of separation simply states that anything and everything you possibly could do that nobody else is doing, you do it. You do it. You find where there's a gap and there's an opportunity for you to learn something. Just take it over. Just do it. Again, Underdog is going to do whatever it takes to make something happen. Period. I mean, you know, even again, go back to David and Goliath. He had a simple slingshot, right? And manages to defeat this massively armed, huge 9-foot giant. Therefore, if you're an underdog, you simply just can't outgun the competition sometimes. So working smarter, in my opinion, is your only option. Another great example that comes to mind is Steve Jobs. Remember, this is dating myself a little bit, but remember, Jobs saw an opportunity for innovation in the music industry. And he struggled to kind of, and his efforts kind of got thwarted as he was trying to figure out a way to overcome, I think it was Kazaa and Napster, I remember was one of them, which were really internet savvy music, businesses that were kind of sharing music illegally. And so when he launched the iPod, right, the MP3, and I think it was back in 2001, he also struck an agreement with 5 major record labels to offer the music legally, easy to use, in kind of an a la carte kind of way. You guys remember this, for 99 cents each. Thus, iTunes was born as a result. Napster and the other companies didn't have a clue what the hell just happened. They didn't even know what in the world just happened. That's what I call working smarter. Underdog's going to work smarter. That's what they do. So as we kind of land this plane, I want to go through just 2 more that I think are extremely important. Excuse me. As an underdog, I think you identify but don't tolerate problems. I think as an underdog, things are going to cross your face all the time. But I don't think you avoid confronting problems, because really and truly, that's the harsh reality. The realities are not so easy to look at, but not thinking about them or trying to sweep them under the rug or push them under the carpet is a sure shot recipe for disaster. As men, we've got to constantly look at the facts versus fiction. What's the fiction? Man, it's lying. Lying. Stop lying. That is our biggest issue. Has been my biggest issue. You lie to if you don't lie to others, you damn sure probably lying to yourself. And this is part of what I'm speaking about identifying the problems, but don't tolerate them. When a problem comes due to your lack of understanding or weakness as an underdog, right, you're going to feel a little shame, right? This is natural, but get over it. Get over it and get on with it. Acknowledge your weakness. It's not the same as surrendering to it, right? The pain and remorse you're feeling are growing pains, and and you don't need to ignore those as a side effect of becoming a better version of yourself. Guys, when we're talking about the podcast of leadership, we're talking the podcast of business, sales, life's lessons. This is all about expansion, not perfection. I say it over and over and over. Your body, being, balance, and business. These are the 4 core. We're constantly trying to grow and get better. The best version of you has yet to be seen. The question is, will you step up and be that best version? Will you put in the sacrifice? Will you put in the discipline required? Lastly, underdog. This is the beautiful thing. And I think if you've been an underdog, which if you say you hadn't, something's not right, because we've all been an underdog. It's not about winning. If you change your mindset and take on the persona of an underdog, you will find that it's really not about winning. It's not about necessarily it's about proving. It's about attaining and accomplishing something that someone said could not be done. Too many people in our society at large see winning, the final outcome, as the definition of success. And yes, listen, winning is sweet. And to be honest with you, I don't like to lose. So I think winning is important, but it doesn't define your success. It's a part of it. It's a piece of it. But success, truly, and that's so subjective. We can all have so many different definitions for the word success. I get it. But again, in my mind, success is all about the pursuit of the goal has improved me or has not. And winning just happens to be the byproduct of that. So either I am growing and expanding, or I'm regressing and going backwards. There is no standing still. If you're standing still, you're going backwards. And if you only see winning as the benchmark of success, then you deplete yourself of the ability to reward and recognize improvements that you've made along the way that leads to eventual stagnation and complacency if you're not careful. So once you succeed, with success comes satisfaction, and a lot of it. But while satisfaction is good, too much of it leads to complacency. If you win, you can't afford to be complacent. So let's go back from the very beginning. We talked about play like a rookie, right? If you're a veteran, these guys that go into OTAs and some of these guys skip OTAs, you're not going to see a rookie skip one. He's trying to make the team. What's happened with some of these veterans? Well, they succeed, and satisfaction comes with that success, and they're good, and it leads to some complacency. But if you want to continue to excel and achieve at a high level, you continue to play like a rookie. You can continue to be that hungry underdog. That's, to me, there's a lot of power in being the underdog. So the thing that we got to remember is the limitations can also spark some creativity and some innovative solutions. We talked about that with Steve Jobs. But you can't replace the hard work and dedication that a rookie, that an underdog will give you. You just can't. And success often comes from putting in the extra effort and going the extra mile. Think about when it's time to go home, man. People want to go home. They're ready to check out. Very few people work extra hours. Very few people. And don't get me wrong. A lot of industries, listen, you give your business everything it wants and it still says, come on, baby, give me more. It's never satisfied. I understand that. What I'm saying to you is if you or me we're gonna excel and achieve from that underdog status to get to the level we're trying to get to, you got to put in a little extra effort and you got to go the extra mile. So lastly, as you conclude this podcast with me, and thank you so much for spending your time, I think one of the most special parts about being an underdog is it exposes the power of the human spirit. There's so many athletic events we've witnessed firsthand, and we've said, that was unbelievable. I can't believe that happened. Guess what? Y'all don't even know why you're saying it's unbelievable. It just happened. Believe it. It just happened. The human spirit, what we develop from being an underdog, and it's the reminder with the right mindset and the effort. Anybody, guys, when I'm telling you anyone can achieve greatness, you can. There's no reason in the world that I get in the car business after I drop out of college as a 20-year-old kid and work my way up to not only be a sales manager, general manager, a dealer partner, and a dealer principal of a car dealership. There's nothing but divine intervention and work ethic that made that happen. It had nothing to do with me, talent, skills. Yes, a lot was developed over time. I was the underdog, man. I was the young kid. And I say that to you to not impress you, but impress upon all of us are underdogs. Right now, in your marriage, you may be the freaking underdog. Right now. And you've got a slim shot of turning this thing around, baby. You got a slim shot of turning it around. And you got people counting on you. You got people counting on you to show up and show out and be a champion and do what you need to do. So, look, that's the end of my Underdog podcast. I hope you enjoyed that. I would ask you, and I would be so appreciative, if you think you know an underdog, if you think you know somebody that needs to just get a little pick-me-up, then maybe just change the mindset, just tweak it just a little bit. Send it to them. Share it with them. Share it with a friend. Lead them to the podcast. I got to tell you, I think that the more we give, the more we get. The more we continue to pour into people, whether it's directly or indirectly, the better. Because we don't know who's going to make a change in their life. We don't know what man's going to turn the corner. What man is going to stop a behavior that has wrecked his life? We don't know. And the way I look at it is, you have medicine, and I have medicine, and there's a lot of people out there that are sick, and there's a lot of things going on in people's lives that bring them down. And I've been there, and we all need somebody just to kind of pick us up. So guys, look, until next time, I love you. If no one's told you you're great, you're fucking great. If no one told you, has no one told you that they loved you lately, I'm going to tell you, your brother loves you, man. You got what it takes. You were made in God's image. You've got what it takes to be special, to be great. But the caveat is, the only time work comes before success is in the dictionary. We've got to put in the work. You guys have an awesome, incredible day, and I'll see you next time on the Louie Herron podcast.